All right, let's set the scene for me. I am at the Emergency Operations Center, having some return audio in my ear. So we are at the State Emergency Operations Center in the North Metro. I will say we are not getting 100% confirmation from authorities here. Of course, this is the nerve center of this investigation. There was a news conference here, around 5:30, so 4 hours ago. What happened, I'd say 15 minutes ago, I got a text from a police officer, not directly involved in this case, but connected, through just law enforcement, and he texted arrested alive from people at the scene that they were using drones that would find Vance Boelter crawling in the dirt in a field, and he ultimately surrendered peacefully. So in custody, alive, in Sibley County. As you mentioned, a lot of attention of law enforcement there today with the abandoned Buick. Pieces of evidence found nearby that indicated that, yes, Boelter had been there. The cowboy hat from those suspect photos that were distributed by the FBI, by the BCA. Of course, there was a $50,000 reward offered for the capture of Vance Boelter, and he apparently has been found within, I don't know the exact distances, but found alive in close proximity to family property, his farm, if you will, down there in Sibley County near Green Isle. We are awaiting word if we will see state authorities today. Remember, it was BCA Superintendent Drew Evans who was here earlier, as well as DPS Commissioner Bob Jacobson. So again, facts continuing to unfold. We have it confirmed with our multiple sources that Vance Boelter is alive. He is in custody. And of course, we know that there are multiple warrants for his arrest, facing charges of murder and attempted murder, of course, in Hennepin County, and then a federal count, a federal warrant, a nationwide warrant for his arrest, and charges that are ready to be filed in federal court against him for basically eluding capture, eluding arrest. So we'll have to see how this criminal case plays out, this unprecedented incident in Minnesota. Really, certainly recent history, if not the state's history, the political assassination of a top lawmaker, her husband, and then, of course, the attempted murder on a DFL senator and his wife in Champlin. And, as you start piecing this all together, I can't help but think I was in Melissa Hortman's neighborhood yesterday in the aftermath of the deadly shooting, the unthinkable act that happened there, and the fact that his Vance Boelter's, what was believed to be his security car, that fake police car, the fact that police had arrived on the doorstep at the Hortman home when they did, there was an exchange of gunfire, and that set him off on foot, leaving behind the vehicle. Was there a more elaborate plan for him from there with this manifesto with dozens of names on it? We don't know what was going through his mind, but clearly he was on foot because of that encounter at the door of the Hortmans, and now it has all led back to basically his property as we understand it. An hour or so away, I was talking to our reporter down there, So Young. She had described there was about a 10-mile difference, I think, between where the car was abandoned and then where they were staging for this final operation. So again, awaiting official, I suppose, confirmation here at state headquarters. Remains to be seen if we still see authorities tonight. I would think they would want to get out in front of this. So we will continue to monitor the situation from here. Let me take care of my audio, and I'm happy to answer some questions for you guys.
Yeah, Paul, just one more thing here, if you can hear me. Go through again, is really important details that you gave us right off the top on on that information that you received from a source just moments ago. He said some 15 minutes ago. Give us the details of that one more time, please.
Yeah, so again, kind of combining a couple of pieces of information from sources. There's something about a trail camera and perhaps in being located, if you will, or at least in a proximity area, that there was movement detected. But then from police, not someone directly on scene, but the law enforcement community is tight-knit. Clearly this case, while it ended in Sibley County, it's certainly in some way, shape, or form is Hennepin County based, right, with Brooklyn Park and Champlin. This officer was told that drones would find him crawling in the dirt in a field, and he would subsequently surrender peacefully.
Crazy, huh?
So drones, trail cams, and a peaceful surrender is the best I can tell you right now. Again, I am in the nerve center where you would think we'd hear from state authorities just as soon as possible, but right now we're going to have to go with sources on the ground, and Fox 9 is comfortable reporting that at this point.
Paul, I don't know if you can hear me. So nobody is there in that center right now, or who is there? I mean, is there any indication that there's going to be any sort of an update from officials?
We just don't know at this point. I will just tell you the setup. It's a new setup here. They have a new sort of emergency operations center that's recently opened. They have us, and I would describe it as a bullpen. We are required to stay in here, so I don't necessarily have direct access to some of the key figures in this investigation. So we will wait. I have had some face-to-face contact. They have said they just did not want to, in the last 5 minutes or so, confirm this information at this point. They may be wanting to gather, dot their I's, cross their T's, make sure they have everything in order from the field before they say anything. So we're at their mercy in that sense. But clearly there are other ways to get information in this day and age, and we do feel like we are in position with our sourcing on the ground there to officially tell you Vance Boelter, this wanted political assassin, wanted on attempted murder charges, he is in custody and alive tonight.
And just stand by, Paul, because obviously this will develop throughout the next minutes and hours. But we want to remind our viewers, left side of your screen is the live images of Green Isle. Right now it's frozen at this second, but this is the image that is happening right now in Green Isle. Again, that is the location where it's believed, and we have confirmation from our sources that Vance Boelter, 57 years old, accused of those horrible shootings early Saturday morning, has been arrested without incident. For whatever reason, back near the Boelter land in that sort of rural area of Green Isle, southwest of the Twin Cities. How he got back there, why he went back there, we don't know. Hopefully we will.
Sorry, I was muted. There's breaking news that this guy has been caught. Now, I wanted to kind of go over quickly over the timeline of events. It's brief, in case you missed it, because there was something I forgot to emphasize on earlier today in the stream. 2 a.m. June 14, police responded to an emergency call at the Democratic Minnesota State Senator John Hoffman and his wife. Both were injured by gunfire but survived. So the first victims that survived, police respond. Surveillance showed video of Vance Luther Boelter at the front door at 2:30. Okay. 3:35 a.m., police officers arrived at the home of the Democratic Senator, Representative Melissa Hortman, in Brooklyn Park. When police arrived, they found a black Ford Explorer SUV in the driveway. Vance was wearing a police uniform. He fired at the officers and retreated back into the house. The same house that he shot and killed these two people. He's coming out. The cops are responding. They see the car. And they see this dude. This dude starts shooting back at them, goes back inside the house. When cops finally go inside, they found the bodies. At 6:30 a.m., Vance arrived at a house where he occasionally stayed. He had a second police-style vehicle parked there with a broken window. And I was watching somebody that they think he may have broken the window to get some stuff out of there. I don't know what. And the whole thing with his security company, too, at Vance, is kind of weird. Because the company offered membership plans, $659 a month for 2 random armed patrols a week, 2 random ones a week, and then $2,400 a month for 8 visits. So I don't know, it's just kind of sus. Something's not really adding up, I think, with his business. And he went from doing 7-Eleven to these other jobs we were talking about.
Again, because what are the
Well, he was a
odds that he
manager,
would go back to a place where law enforcement were already looking for him? But here we are tonight, and it looks as though he has been apprehended. Just a quick programming note for folks who are wanting to watch the race. It is on Fox 9 Plus. So if that is something that you want to watch right now, it's 9.2.
And I said he was caught crawling in the dirt.
We're going to stay here on the air, and we're also streaming online if you want to follow along on these very latest developments. That is just the most incredible news for so many people involved, not to mention the families of those who are affected, the Hortman family, the Hoffman family, of course, the families of all of the lawmakers in Minnesota, particularly those who were also on this list tonight. Just the most incredible news.
As horrendous as that shooting was for both of those families and their loved ones on Saturday morning, and many of you have the details of how that went down, which was, as you can imagine, scary for everyone in this area. On how he is alleged to have impersonated a police officer with a vehicle that also we're being talked to right now. So
okay. All right.
So I was interrupted by our producer to tell us that Paul Bloom has audio of the arrest.
Yeah, and he's going to just, I think, hold it. I think he has it on his phone. Yep, we're good. We're good, Lori. Just tell us when to go. There we go. So, okay, Paul, tell us what you got, and let's take a listen.
Thank you, Kim.
Yeah, so a source of mine just texted a short video clip, runs about 12 seconds from a neighboring farm in Green Isle that picks up the bullhorn of the arrest. I'm going to play it. It's coming off my phone into the microphone. I hope our viewers can hear it. I can translate the audio on the back end, but let's share this. This would have been minutes ago as Vance Boelter was taken into custody alive.
Guys, we have an arrest warrant. Take a look around.
Let's do that one more time for you all, but I understand it came across cleanly.
We have an arrest warrant. Take a look around. You are surrounded. Stand up with your hands empty and above your head and come to the sound of my voice.
Come to the sound of my voice. You are surrounded.
We have an arrest warrant. Take a look around. You are surrounded. Stand up with your hands empty and above your head and come to the sound of my voice.
Come to the sound of my voice one more time.
We have an arrest warrant. Take a look around. You are surrounded. Stand up with your hands empty and above your head and come to the sound of my voice.
So there you go. Just a few minutes ago, Green Isle, or Sibley County, Minnesota, I should say. I don't exactly know the township or the location there, but the bullhorn, they have an arrest warrant. It's hard to make out. It's you typically would get on your cell phone a video that's shared with you. It's grainy. Obviously I can see some authorities. It's taken from a nearby farm, but you hear their authorities in their final encounter, as we understand it, with Vance Boelter near his property, Green Isle, Minnesota, a wanted political assassin doing the unthinkable, allegedly this weekend attacking two lawmakers in their own homes, killing the Speaker Emerita and her husband, and as well as gravely injuring the Hoffmans. And so tonight in custody, alive. We thought about how this might play out, but now this heads to court. I mean, in what will be an unprecedented criminal case. Does it start in federal, state court? Obviously, so many questions still to be determined on that level. But tonight, as far as we understand it, although still waiting for an official confirmation here at the Emergency Operations Center that Vance Boelter did heed the warning and the advice or the commands of law enforcement SWAT teams down in Sibley County just minutes ago, and did surrender peacefully to authorities, again with, as my understanding, the use of drone coverage to track him in those fields or woods down there.
Hey, Paul, when you were playing that, I was just curious, the first word or so we couldn't make out. I didn't know if they were saying his name or could you make out that? I don't know if it's even important, but I was just curious at what.
It was, I think, yeah, I think it was we Yeah, I think it was we have an arrest warrant. I didn't necessarily
Okay.
hear the name. Let me play. I can go one more time with the Amy.
It is
kinda
incredible
starts
audio, by the way.
so-
Yeah.
Guys, we have an arrest warrant. Take a look around. Guys, we have an arrest warrant. Take a look around. You are surrounded. Stand up with your hands empty and above your head and come to the sound of my voice.
Yeah, something about the arrest warrant. There is a word that is cut off there, but I did pick up on that last, you're just processing this in real time on live television, but get up, so that would indicate perhaps what I heard from my sourcing, that he was on the ground in some, crawling or kind of down on the ground, that he needed to actually stand up from that position, although I don't know exactly where that recording picked up, but that could give some sort of confirmation that he was, trying to lay low or something, was down on the ground, and actually needed to be stood up to have them arrested. Typically a suspect, you want them going to the ground, and that's when authorities go in. In this case, they were asking him to stand up. I would point that out, but again, not exactly sure the context of where we pick up that recording. It is just 12 seconds of what must have been a very intense moment, knowing how many, what did they say earlier today? 100 plus law enforcement were in that area surrounding the car, then SWAT teams from all across the state.
A relatively
So
small
there would
area.
be some serious manpower in and around. Yeah.
Paul,
Yeah.
this afternoon or I should say this evening at the update that law enforcement handed out, there was a sense that they were zoning in or narrowing in on this area. Did you get that sense as well?
We're curious if you picked up on that as well, because they didn't come out and say things, but it just felt like we're getting close here.
Yeah, reading between the lines. Now, I could understand that assumption. Plus, you just think about, you lay out the facts, and, they had been in the area yesterday. They did not find that car yesterday. So clearly the car is fresh. He was in the area. They find the hat. They clearly kind of are able to start putting the dots together that he was in Sibley County in some respects very recently. They, push that amount of law enforcement, that offensive, hundreds of officers and SWAT into that area. I'm guessing they could, quickly account for vehicles that, was anything stolen. If you account for sort of the properties and then perhaps check off, that vehicles are where they should be. Now, all of a sudden, you have to start assuming he's likely on foot if he's not getting assistance. And, at that point, you probably feel like he's in this area. I will point out yesterday, though, they really were confident that they had him in that area around the Hortman house, that 3 square miles. And we would come to find out later that hours earlier he had gotten free of that zone and was in Minneapolis. So, how you read, the tea leaves and what you think and then what you're told, and you try to read between the lines there, you can kind of make of it what you will. But, they clearly kept, I know they, even after sort of freeing up that road where the car was abandoned and opening up the roadway, towing that vehicle, they remained in full force. I checked in with So Young, our colleague down there, and she had said that there was still a huge presence at the staging area. So I think they were kind of now starting to really zero in and press in on Boelter, and we've now seen in the last 20 minutes, 30 minutes or so what that ended up with, which is his arrest. And I did my photographer is looks like scanning some social media, and there's a photo, Ramsey County, showing his arrest. So so there's a photo now out there
also,
that would
Paul, I don't know if you got word of this.
Ramsey County Sheriff's Office. So the Sheriff's Office is sharing that. So that's an official source of information there.
Also, Paul, I don't know if you heard, because you've been talking to us, but Lori just told us 10:30 news conference. So it looks like we're going to be getting some information at that time
11:30
as
our time
well.
Eastern.
And it's interesting. Go ahead.
Or depending where you're at.
No, it would just be at this podium behind me. We were getting some indication they were shooting for that. It wasn't sort of something that they wanted me to move on, to put out there yet. But if you are getting official word now, yes. So about 40 minutes away. I don't know what the tone will be here. Obviously, it is massive relief. I talked to you guys earlier today, about how this rippled out. Obviously, you have a family grieving, a family recovering. But as they take the next steps towards funerals and the like, police departments are guarding legislators right now, fearing this manifesto and this list. So to have him in custody.
I'm glad he's alive. It's going to be interesting to see what the court, the trial, the interrogation.
So it'll be interesting to see what tone is taken here. I would expect to see, again, similar people like the DPS commissioner, the BCA superintendent. Does the governor come back here? Right. I just don't know at this point, but we will certainly be here 40 minutes from now.
So I don't know. Our producers are working on this backstage. Obviously, a couple things we'd like to see, that Ramsey County arrest picture when we can get that. But secondly, I'm wondering if So Young Kim, who is on scene, is still available to us to discuss or at least talk about what she may have witnessed or seen or heard there on site in the last 15 or 20 minutes or so. Is that available to us or not?
It's okay. Yeah, they're trying to log in. Okay. We also have our Karen Scullin, who's out there as well with the photojournalists, and so we're going to be able to have a couple of different conversations out there from that area. It was, some sourcing that some folks here had to let us know that they were getting close, and then as soon as So Young, who is in that area, got that alert, that's when we sort of decided that we were going to get into place here just in case. So we have the two crews out there tonight, and then Paul Bloom, of course, is standing by for that 10:30 press conference where we do anticipate that we're going to get confirmation of everything here. And Paul was just talking about it there sort of at the end, and one of the...
This is his picture too. Quick picture of him being caught. In case you haven't seen it, hot off the press, is brand new. Thank you guys for coming back. I had a feeling he was going to get caught soon. I didn't think tonight. But remember, I told you guys in the last stream, tonight, the only way I'm coming back tonight is if this guy gets caught, because I was going to just chill and relax, you know what I'm saying? And he's caught. He is caught. Weird. I don't understand what happened with this dude.
To focus so much on this manhunt.
And I will tell you anecdotally, personally, from knowing these people for as long as they've been in politics, I was up until a few hours ago in Canada, and it resonated as far up there as you can imagine. It would, obviously, a very national, international story like this, but it was shock. It was just shock that this could happen, not only at all, but in the state of Minnesota at this time in history, that something so horrific would happen in our backyard, and the rest of the world was feeling it as well.
And what made this just particularly, I mean, a lot of us have had interactions with these lawmakers. I realize not everybody at home has, so they were more humanized to us, of course, but public figures. But I think the piece of this that was so unnerving to just sort of the general public was the fact that the vulnerability of these that these couples and these families were in their home in the middle of the night, believing that there was a police officer who was trying to give them information. Nowadays, if an officer shows up at your door in the middle of the night, you fear the worst. And of course, you're going to go to that door. And we have learned now, police tell us, a lot of people talk about, well, is it safe to, just always call 911, and verify that if that's something that you're concerned about. It's just, there are so many layers to this that we haven't even had time to process, frankly, because we have been so focused on making sure that this man was captured and could not harm anybody else. Yeah,
so just to update those viewers and listeners that may just be joining us, may have joined us online as well, which we know you do. The man you see there on your screen right now, Vance Boelter, 57 years old, arrested in the area of Green Isle tonight, actually in the very near or on the property of the Boelter farm, which is where this search began yesterday. For him, at least a search for what would have been clues to what had happened began there at that farm. There it is on a map, so you can kind of see where we're talking about. And if the Twin Cities were on that map, it would be up to the northeast of there, not far, but far enough. And I think it's important to say the names of the people that he's alleged to have shot. Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark, killed in their Brooklyn Park home. Prior to that, Democratic Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, shot in their home. We have details that Senator Hoffman was shot 9 times, hit 9 times. His wife Yvette hit 8 times, but they were rushed to the hospital. The latest information we have on the Hoffmans is they will survive. So that is the good news. All
right, let's take a look. I believe we have our first image of Vance Boelter being apprehended tonight. This is from Ramsey County, an official photo here from Ramsey County showing the moments that Vance Boelter was taken into custody tonight. You can see by what he's wearing how sort of dirty he is, that he had been laying low in that field, and we know from the audio that he was told to get up, and you can see that he had been hiding for some time. As far
he's
as
a deranged democracy would be just as bad. It was a Trump.
Compare that with the many different sort of changes throughout since the incidents happened, the murders and the attempted murders happened on Saturday morning. But this is what he was wearing, and that is what he looks like as he was apprehended just a short time ago.
And for a timing reference for our viewers out there and listeners, that this really was just moments ago. We have fortunately had a very good sourcing operation tonight, both in Green Isle, both in the city, and boy, networking that really worked out to cover this story for all of you at home. The first information we had that something was going to go down, or it appeared that something was going to go down, was about 8:45. So it was happening fast, and our sources were spot on. We had a trail cam image of him in that area, which initiated a search from the air via drone. Law enforcement descended in that area. They'd been in the area, but they went in full force. And they pinpointed him in a cornfield. And as we heard from Paul Bloom's audio just a short time ago, you could hear very clearly he was in that dirt. He was laying down. He was asked to stand up and go toward their voices. There was a warrant out for his arrest, and he did exactly that. He was arrested without incident right there in that Green Isle area, right there on the Boelter property, or very near the Boelter property, which has sort of been the focus of this investigation, probably from a, what initiated this thing from an evidence perspective. They needed to go through that property. To have him end up there is extremely interesting to law enforcement and to those of us that are covering.
I look rougher working in the garden for a couple hours. This guy looks like his hair is fixed. He got like a haircut or something. Look like he has some foundation on his face, makeup. I don't know what's going on. And for somebody that was crawling in the dirt and on the run, I think he was found on the woods. I'm not clarifying again where he was found, but he doesn't look too...
Charges of murder in the second degree with intent not premeditated, second count of that charge, and then a couple of counts of
but the picture, right?
Obviously the attempted murders. But I just want to read a quick paragraph again. I have to process this in real time here. This is one of the paragraphs. So this is after the shooting at Melissa Hortman's house, Mark and Melissa Hortman. Quote, officers searched defendant's vehicle, registered to him. Again, that's that faux police car, the security car with the flashing lights, just abandoned in the driveway because he encountered authorities and had to run out the back door. So again, officers searched defendant's vehicle, registered to him, and located at least 3 AK-47 assault rifles, a 9mm handgun, as well as a list of names and addresses of other public officials. Officers canvassed the surrounding area and located a ballistic vest, a disassembled 9mm firearm, a mask. We know he was in that mask in one of the photographs at the door, dressed like police, and a gold police style badge. So that was all found near the scene. Defendant is the listed purchaser for at least 4 of the recovered firearms, so he connects to the guns themselves. Additionally, investigators spoke with a person familiar with defendant who positively identified him as the man on the Champlin residence surveillance footage. So perhaps that puts that one image of him in the mask at the home of Senator Hoffman. We weren't sure if that picture had come from a Ring camera, which house, but would seem to be from these charges that it came from the Champlin home. Because defendant has not been apprehended, and this case has significant media attention. Of course, this was before what just happened tonight. Your complaint requests this warrant be sealed. So these charges were previously filed. But again, the weaponry, guys, we have to talk about that encounter, the cops checking the Hortman house. Tragically, they couldn't prevent what happened in that home in Brooklyn Park early Saturday morning. But what happens if he gets back in that car? They had that gun exchange with him on the curb. They had, clearly he has lists, he has names, he has addresses, and if he gets out of that neighborhood in that car, who knows what happens. Instead, he's on foot. It would take them, 36 hours to bring him into custody alive, but so he has been taken into custody alive. That photo, you can't see that enough, right there, taken into custody, Sibley County there. Alive, we played the audio, ordered to stand up.
Breaking news. They found a
surrender
Biden
peacefully.
and Harris sticker on the back windshield of his
those
car.
Those officers, I'll play that audio one more time as our viewers kind of tune into this breaking news. Again, I have the murder charges that are now been unsealed. But again, I lost my train of thought. Let me just go to that. Let me go to that audio again I was asked to play. It's going to take a second.
Paul, it's okay. We have the complaint in front of us, too.
Take a look around. You are surrounded. Stand up with your hands empty and above your head and come to the sound of my voice.
It's 12 seconds. I'll do it again. It starts with them letting him know there's
Getting
an arrest
hired on
warrant.
overseas
Put
to
up
do
your
security
hands,
doesn't
walk
mean you're an
towards his voice. Here it
operator.
goes again.
He didn't amount to much even with an MBA. Had financial, personal issues, extremist views.
With your hands empty and above your head and come to the sound of my voice.
One more time.
We have an arrest warrant. Take a look around. You are surrounded. Stand up with your hands empty and above your head and come to the sound of my voice.
So a few times there, that is audio nearby of this arrest in Sibley County field near what I understand to be property of Vance Boelter. He is in custody. That photo there, proof. I thought it was really interesting, the comment, the social media comment. The Ramsey County Sheriff's Office was the initial source where I saw that photo posted. I'd maybe like to call that up. We don't have the greatest internet signal. It might take a minute. So, but again, just to reiterate, now seeing those charges, I had heard from sourcing that he did have multiple weapons in that SUV that was closely searched yesterday. That's where they found this so-called, manifesto. It was explained a little differently, but certainly within these charges, it reads that there were names, there was addresses, there was multiple weaponry in his vehicle, and of course he had to abandon that because he was encountered by some police officers who, when they went to Senator Hoffman's home where the initial shooting occurred early Saturday morning, it dawned on them his position as a lawmaker, a DFL party, Melissa Hortman's house, their friends. It's less than 10 miles away. They preemptively went to the house just to do what I would call a welfare check. And when they arrive there, they see that, what they thought was a police car, and they have this encounter with the armed gunman who we now believe is Vance Boelter. There's an exchange of gunfire. He apparently runs into the house out the back, which is that Edinburgh golf course. It would take authorities, law enforcement, nearly 48 hours to finally bring this to a conclusion, but finding him alive, apparently using drones to discover him, perhaps getting help by a trail camera near his house, and then getting drones up above to look down below. And our understanding was he was crawling around in dirt, and to sort of enhance that thought is this idea in that audio. You do hear authorities tell him to stand up and walk towards their voice.
Can we put the Green Isle video up in the box now? I just want to reiterate some of what Paul mentioned right off the top. And this is where it gets to the next phase, and that is the charges that will be filed against Boelter in District Court, 4th Judicial District. This is from Hennepin County, obviously. Charge 1, second-degree murder with intent. On or about June 14th, Hennepin County, Vance Luther Boelter acting with intent to kill caused the death of victim 1. And then, there we go. Thank you for the video out of Green Isle. That is live right now, folks. And the image you see up on the top left is Vance Boelter being apprehended.
Vance Boelter caught. Breaking news. They're going to have a press conference in about 20 minutes. Dr. Todd Grande had a thought, an opinion about this whole thing. Let me just play a little bit snippet of that.
Vance was very angry at several Democrats. The murders were politically motivated. In a curious twist, one of the murder victims, Melissa Hortman, actually voted with Republicans to cut access to state health benefits for illegal immigrants in Minnesota. She was the only Democrat to side with the Republicans in this vote. Melissa said, quote, "I know that people will be hurt by that vote, and we worked very hard to get a budget deal that didn't include that provision," unquote. Item number 4, what do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. Vance Luther Boelter was self-centered, immature, impulsive, irresponsible, reckless, sensation-seeking, overconfident, grandiose, erratic, unstable, violent, pathetic, nefarious, self-righteous, chronically dissatisfied, falsely believed he was special, had a sense of entitlement, and was exceedingly creepy.
And that's what I think about like Luigi in a way too, Mangione. But I posted the sermon earlier on the second channel, and I posted the interview. That interview was kind of weird, but I wanted to play that because of what our private had said. Let me play this too from him.
He did not really seem to have much of a direction in his life. Vance earned an EDD in leadership, but then managed a 7-Eleven convenience store. The only leadership.
That's the thing about that. He got that.
In leadership, did not really seem to have much of a direction in his life. Vance earned an EDD in leadership, but then managed a 7-Eleven convenience store. The only leadership he was demonstrating was leading customers to the rotating hot dog display. At some point, Vance became frustrated over politics in the United States and was having financial problems. Feeling powerless to make the changes he wanted and becoming increasingly desperate to create a legacy consistent with his grandiose vision of himself, Vance decided to murder people who had different opinions than he did. His arrogance pushed him to make his mark on society, even if by causing death and destruction. The plan that Vance developed was to make one of his security vehicles look like a police cruiser, drive around to the homes of politicians who he hated, and shoot them to death. He was hoping to kill almost 70 people, but was interrupted by the police after wounding 2 and killing 2. Vance somehow escaped from the police, but there is really nowhere he can hide for long.
Crazy that he was able to run away from the police at the second home where he had shot people. He was coming out, I guess, the front. He parked, that was kind of crazy too. They said he parked his vehicle right in the driveway. So cops pull up and his car is right there in the driveway. And so as they start advancing, I guess he comes out and he realizes the cops are there and he starts shooting at them, and he runs back inside and runs out the back. I guess maybe that's why he didn't fulfill his plan with the list. It doesn't make sense to me. I still, the whole King's Day, flyers, and I don't know.
Their parents,
really weird.
Which obviously tells all of us
weird.
that
Everything's weird to me.
Children,
it was
their daughter. Their daughter was the one that had to make that 911 call and alert officers that the man had come to their door and shot her parents.
Damn.
We know just from we've covered stories with Senator Hoffman and his family, and we know just from our Courtney Godfrey too that their daughter Hope has spina bifida and lived with them. I believe about 28 years old is what we were told, and so she, as we're reading now, unfortunately was, as we feared, the one who made that call to 911.
This information released moments ago because there was an arrest. It was to be sealed until that, so we are getting this information very quickly. Again, there is going to be a presser coming up here in about 20 minutes if everything stays on time. There was a very detailed list of the weapons that were found in the alleged shooter's vehicle: 3 AK-47 assault rifles, a 9mm handgun, disassembled 9mm firearm, ballistic vest, gold police-style badge. All that fits the description of a man posing as a police officer when he knocked on the doors of these two Minnesota politicians and their spouses.
Lori, do we have So Young, or do we have Karen? Okay. They're all right. They're just logging in here. In just about a minute, we're going to take you out live to Green Isle. I don't know if we want to pop that picture up. I know. Sorry, Lori. We've got producers in the booth kind of shuffling things around back there. But okay, so here's the live picture of Green Isle. This would be not necessarily right where the farm is. You can see a little bit more of a paved road there. There's been a staging area, so I'm not sure exactly how close our crew is. I know they wouldn't have been able to get very close to the farm itself, but there was a staging area, and that's where I'm guessing this is. Yeah, they're moving around just a little bit here, where law enforcement has been staged here for the last couple of days. Yeah, that looks like that area to me. So
it actually went down very quickly when you think about it.
It did, and so we'll kind of go through some of that with So Young here, because again, you know, if you're just joining us, I know people are kind of coming into the coverage here as we're continuing on, and we do want to remind folks. I don't know if the race is still going on, but the race that we cut into it is over. Okay, that coverage was on Fox Local. Thank you, appreciate that, or Fox Plus. So. We want to reset things just a little bit here because we have an incredible development that has come about here in the course of the last sort of 2 hours or so, hour and a half or so, Randy, in that we now have sources that have confirmed. We have now seen a photograph from Ramsey County Sheriff that Vance Boelter is in custody and he has been taken alive.
I can kind of give our viewers a rundown of how it all went down. Approximately an hour and a half ago, as Amy points out, we had tips from our sources that Vance Boelter, the suspect, alleged killer, had been spotted on a trail cam. You all know what trail cams are. They're posted out there for wildlife and other reasons, security reasons, but some resident in that area of the Boelter farm, the area there that we're talking about, just for those of it's the 355 block of 200th Street there, and the farm itself is very near there, but that area is where they picked up an image of Boelter on a trail cam. Moments later, we got word that law enforcement had also picked him up from a drone in the sky, and it was still daylight at that time, so they could clearly see a man in fatigues with a backpack, presumably armed, making his way through a cornfield. Corn is very short right now, so easy to see.
What a blessing that we have a later, sunset here to take us so late.
Yeah, and so within moments of that, we got word that there was a possible arrest without incident, and from there it has ballooned into a definite arrest of the suspect, and we saw the images there. And So Young Kim has been in that area since she started her schedule tonight, and she witnessed some of this sort of assembling of law enforcement in that area.
Yeah, so Young, kind of describe, I guess, where you are as it relates to maybe the farm or that staging area, and then talk to us about the alert that you received and about what time that was.
Yeah, we're here in Green Isle, right near the staging area. Their staging area is kind of in a parking lot near a baseball field. So we're about a couple of miles away from that alert you mentioned that came directly to my phone right around 9 o'clock. Mentioned that the Minnesota shooter was seen on foot in military gear and armed. So that was around 9 o'clock, and then, like you mentioned, a few minutes after that, we understand that he was taken in a cornfield nearby. And the last couple of days, we've been talking to neighbors in the area. I also spoke with someone on the phone who lives right in this area, right off of Highway 25. His property was searched. So authorities, to what they explained to us a few hours ago, they kind of obviously mentioned there was a car of interest that they believe Boelter was using yesterday. They found that maybe 7 miles down the road here, Highway 25. That was maybe earlier this morning. It was towed away around 4, a little maybe before 4 o'clock this afternoon. So earlier this afternoon, that car was towed away. This area was still being searched. It was blocked off. This part of Highway 25 was still blocked off for several hours after that. And even after the roads reopened a few hours ago, police presence, especially in the staging area, remained largely unchanged. And we know why. They were honing in and zoning in on Boelter, but they hadn't released that publicly until we received that alert. Listening for any movements, getting any updates from law enforcement here. And now we know that they were zeroing in here and kind of staying nearby because they had reason to believe that he was still in the area. That was a big question a lot of these neighbors had. A lot of people were scared just with the law enforcement presence in the area. Authorities weren't ruling out any possibilities. So he could have been in the area. People weren't sure if he had left the state.
Thank you.
We know TSA, other federal agencies were also involved, keeping a watch to potentially watch that he doesn't flee the country. But now we know he really was kind of back in this area, which is near Green Isle, which we know is the address of a family home and property nearby. So everything kind of happened in this area right off of Highway 25. And we know that now he has been taken in. This staging area in the last maybe 10 to 15 minutes, now we see some patrol cars maybe packing up for the night or moving. We kind of have seen a little bit of movement, more than we've seen throughout the night, of maybe some of these squad cars or some of these agencies, because there's so many agencies out here. Hundreds of patrol units, but multi-agency from local, county to federal. We have seen some patrol cars leave the area and leave the staging area potentially for the night. And this is such a big relief for everyone involved, not just these communities and the neighbors we've spoken to, but Paul had mentioned, there was a hit list. And with Boelter still out there, he's a suspected, shooter in these cases. It was just a nightmare situation all weekend for some of these lawmakers that have been informed they were on the list, for these communities, knowing that a potential shooter was still armed and dangerous in their communities. This is just such a major development and a major point of relief for everyone, not just in these communities, but across the state and across the country, really.
Yeah, we are seeing what you're seeing as well. It does look like law enforcement is clearing the area. You can see Brooklyn Park there. They're the main investigator, and certainly with that investigative unit there, they have an investigative van. That is likely the end result of this apprehension of Boelter tonight, 57-year-old Vance Boelter. I also think it's important at a time like this, when we have some degree of resolution to this case. It's been more than 24 hours. People were certainly on edge in all kinds of areas. And the question remains tonight, how does he end up back in some ways where this investigation began at the family property out there near Green Isle? We don't know the answer to that. We might get an answer, but the reality is that's where this thing came to a culmination. What his choice was, what his intentions were, we do not know. We may never know about that. But I think, Amy, it's important to talk about and name the people who are alleged to have been victimized. And if we can just bring up some images of Melissa Hortman and the others, it's important that we remember what we've lost here in the state of Minnesota as a result of this horrific crime. Those 4 victims, 2 deceased and 2 badly injured. in the hospital as we speak.
new
There's
picture of
Melissa
him
and her
that came
husband
out.
Mark there.
Show you guys.
Many of you would recognize Melissa if you watch the news at all. She's on often as a prominent Democratic figure in this state.
Yeah, Speaker of the House.
Proud
for
to
several
support
years,
fellow
Speaker of
independent
America
media
right
creators.
now, which is sort
Good
of the
work.
shared speaker role in the
Thank
House.
you
This
so
was
much,
a photo
man.
that was taken the night before
Appreciate
Mark
it.
and Melissa were killed.
We were covering this
was
earlier today, going over
an
all the
annual
details.
DFL dinner is described by many as sort of Democrat prom, if you
caught
will.
already.
You know, a lot of folks there who had a chance to sort of give them hugs and just sort of talk to them and catch up, not knowing that would be the last time that they would have those conversations. So that's Mark and Melissa.
That's
Picture
theater
about
makeup he had on to be
we
bald.
intended to air
CIA.
some sound from a friend of Mark's. His name is Ross Bennett. Obviously devastated. He lives very close to them in their neighborhood, in the Hortman neighborhood there. And he tells us that when Melissa was busy with her political work, her husband Mark would often call him just to hang out. Last time they talked to Mark was Friday, obviously just hours
the other picture
before
of him.
this shooting. Described for us the couple outside the public eye. He described Melissa as a regular person as you could find, someone who'd been as deeply involved in politics as she was still a normal person, a regular
I don't know how
person.
you go from
He,
that.
talking about
50-something
Mark,
years
one of the
old?
most authentic people.
What is he, 50-something years old? This guy, I have to look it up again. 57, I thought. Vance, with 4 kids. How do you go at the end towards, like, when you're that age to, like, go and start killing on a murder spree? Like, what the hell? Like,
Twins game in a couple weeks. The two would often go to Target Field together for baseball games.
Yeah, and you know, think about that family dynamic and what kind of a job she has and the support that he has been, and they have 2 children. Of course, this is State Senator John Hoffman,
Thank you, Venting America
I don't know that we
podcast.
have a
Thank you
picture
for that.
of his wife Yvette. If we do, okay, Lori's working on that. She
Truth is a
works
rabbit
for
hole.
a school district
Thank you for
in Fernbrook, and
Alexi,
has
thank you for the 20.
is so Thank you, Lori. Fernbrook Elementary in Maple Grove is where she works, and of course we've seen that GoFundMe that they've put together for her and for John as they continue to recover. We haven't gotten much detail as far as how they're doing, their conditions, other than yesterday we know that they did come out of surgery, and that they're expected to survive. We haven't gotten much information on the extent of the injuries there.
We did hear.
Lori, go ahead. Yeah. Okay, so that particular GoFundMe, Fernbrook PTO, I believe, is the one who put that on. Is that, what did you say? You said 90? Uh-huh. $91,000. So that's been growing exponentially.
I can read, if you're talking about Yvette, we did get a late this evening, we did get an update from Senator Amy Klobuchar.
Oh, please, yes.
Yeah, she tweeted out a text from Yvette. It reads in part this: our family is so, this is from Yvette, the woman you see there, the husband of John, reads in part, our family is so humbled by the love and outpouring we've received from everyone. John is enduring many surgeries right now and is closer every hour to being out of the woods. And this is the part that struck me tonight when I was reading this earlier. John took 9 bullet hits. She says, I took 8 bullet hits. And we are both incredibly lucky to be alive, and that is an understatement if ever I've heard one. And we mentioned that GoFundMe for both John and Yvette.
Yeah. John, known as
in their recovery.
Disability advocate for so many things, and we'll continue to talk about them throughout our coverage tonight, as that is so important. The latest developments, though, another very important development, are Paul Bloom. It sounds like you have a little bit more information for us.
Yeah, just a comment I wanted to pass along to our viewers. We are in the State's Emergency Operations Center in the North Metro. We have been promised a 10:30 news conference with officials that I have now confirmed will include the Brooklyn Park Police Chief. We met yesterday at the news conference, Mark Bruley. I asked if there was anything I could convey from him, and he said just that this was the largest manhunt in the state's history. 43 hours, and we had the suspect in custody, leveraged hundreds of federal, state, county, and local law enforcement. Quote, historic and amazing. The thoughts of Brooklyn Park Police Chief Mark Bruley, of course. It was his city where Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman and Mark Hortman were shot and killed yesterday around 3:30 in the morning. 43 hours later, Vance Boelter, the suspected gunman, political assassin, is in custody. He has been charged. We shared those charges with you that have been unsealed in Hennepin County. We also understand there are federal charges filed against him. We haven't seen that complaint yet. And I wanted to read the words. The Ramsey County Sheriff's Office was the first place we saw that photo of Boelter under arrest. Quote, the face of evil. After
Daniel,
relentless and
Happy
determined
Father's
police
Day,
work,
Mel.
the
Looks
killer
like
is
another
now in
wild
custody.
night. Thanks for the
Thanks to the
coverage.
dedication of
Yeah,
multiple
I think I'll
agencies
come back
working
tonight.
together along with support from the community. Justice now one step closer, and it's that photo of him in handcuffs, the law enforcement in those camouflage, almost military-looking fatigues, have him under arrest and in custody, and now the criminal case prosecution begins against him. We're about 5 minutes away now from what we expect to hear from all sorts of officials. There's no word yet if the governor's coming back here tonight, but certainly, as I mentioned there, the Brooklyn Park Police Chief will be here. A huge sigh of relief in that community. I am being asked to try to maybe play that community one more time. This room is getting kind of loud, but this was the audio of the arrest. 12 seconds. We played it several times for you. If you're just joining us now, it's probably worth trying again. But again, the room's gotten a lot louder in the last few minutes as media has poured in for this 10:30 news conference. Here it is. Listen closely.
Guys, we have an arrest warrant. Take a look around. You are surrounded. Stand up with your hands empty and above your head and come to the sound of my voice. We have an arrest warrant. Take a look around. You are surrounded. Stand up with your hands empty and above your head and come to the sound of my voice.
I'll do that one more time.
Guys, we have an arrest warrant. Take a look around. You are surrounded. Stand up with your hands empty and above your head and come to the sound of my voice.
And just having that picture on screen with it, it really puts you in that moment, in that field. Again, as we understood it, as one police source commented, that he was crawling in on the ground. He was spotted above by drone. A trail camera had picked up an image of him earlier. And again, he chose to end this peacefully and then did follow his
That's
voice,
crazy.
the voices, and in custody there. So again, I'm curious to see the tone that is taken. Clearly relief. We spoke earlier in the day about, just anecdotally, another police chief in the metro who has officers outside every elected official 24 hours, each hour of the day since this manifesto, and names, even names not on that list. Police were guarding homes over the last 43 hours during this manhunt. They were responding to tips, to calls. There was 400 plus tips that came into the official BCA tip line, a $50,000 reward for the suspected gunman. And there he is on your screen, alive, under arrest, and now just minutes away from hearing sort of the official accounting from state officials who opened this emergency operations center yesterday to coordinate this search. Dozens of agencies, federal, all the alphabet soup of the federal agencies, state, local, police. But this, I know deep down, I know Mark Bruley pretty well. This was personal for Brooklyn Park, and to have this man under arrest right now means so much. And I shared his words with you a minute ago, but huge relief in that community tonight.
It sounds like we're a couple of minutes away from the press conference, and we've been told that Governor Walz will be there. We imagine that when that time, when and if it came, that Governor Walz would want to be at the forefront there to deliver that news, as he was the one who had to deliver the horrible, tragic news Saturday morning of the deaths of his friends and colleagues, and the massive loss for the state of Minnesota and for those families.
And before we get going on that update from law enforcement, I want to read a bit about what this man is facing. The complaint has been unsealed, the warrant. It was unsealed the moment he was arrested. I can tell you the counts at which he will be, at least at this juncture, charged with. Count 1 would be second-degree murder with intent. Count 2, that would be the first victim. Count 2, the second victim, second-degree murder with intent, not premeditated. You can see them on your screen. I will read them for you. Some descriptions that on the first count on June 14th, Hennepin County Vance Luther Boelter, acting with the intent to kill, caused the death of victim 1. We can presume that was either Melissa or her husband Mark using a firearm. And count 2, same description, victim 2 using a firearm. Then we move on to the attempted, which was count 3. That is with the Hoffman family, Yvette and John Hoffman, and count 5, or count 4, I should say, also murder in the second degree with intent, not premeditated. Those likely might get amended to second degree, depending on how, or second degree attempted versus second degree murder. So we will watch that. And the bail as it's set right now would be set at felony level bail $5 million.
I don't know, guys, if we want to double box here with the shot of the press conference. There we go. Yeah, just to kind of visually let people know. Yeah, let's stay on this here because it's imminent. It's going to be happening shortly, and we want to just let folks know that we're going to take this live as soon as it goes. But we did get some more information here. Of course, Paul just played I don't even know how you describe it. That hearing that audio and seeing his photo, it just.
And that audio was recorded by a neighbor in the area as this was going down. They were able to record it. I don't know how they did it because it was so clear. They clearly were very close to where law enforcement were, recorded it on their phone, sent it to Paul. Yeah. And the audio that we've been playing is the actual arrest of Boelter there in that farm field on the Boelter property, we believe. If not on the property, very near the Boelter property in Green Isle there, just a little southwest of the Twin Cities. Again, this is a presser getting set up to give all of you at home and all of us an update on this arrest and where we go from here. Obviously, this is related, if you're just joining us here at the bottom of the hour, it's 10:30 now. This was the capture, the arrest without incident of Vance Luther Boelter, 57 years old. He will now, as we are understanding from this complaint that's been unsealed, be charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of murder in the second degree. Attempted will likely be revised when the charges come down, as long as John Hoffman, Senator Hoffman and his wife Yvette continue to improve.
Just doing a little bit of a mic check here and getting everything set, but yeah, we're told it's going to happen at any minute. It's been such a long journey, and there's so much relief in tonight. Of course, there will be now a trial, and there will be more attention that is put on Vance Boelter, and we want to keep and we will continue to talk about the victims here, of course, those who have lost their lives, their families, the impact, the children who have been left behind. I think as parents, I think you just keep thinking about all of those who have been left behind here, particularly the children. And the one daughter, Hope, who was actually there when all of this happened. There's just so much attention that needs to be paid and so much support that needs to be given to them, first and foremost. You think about sort of the next tier, which is those other folks who were on that list and what they're going through. And then, other lawmakers who may not have been on that list, but whose families are saying to them, is this worth it? Is this worth it? Yeah,
I think it gives anybody with any public persona a great deal of pause that there are people out there like this. I shared earlier, I had been in Canada up until this morning, making my way back. And the magnitude of this event resonated up there in the remote parts of Ontario. And as from a personal standpoint, it just made me reflect on, I'm in a part of the country where it seems so pristine and so beautiful, yet we're reminded that these kind of things are happening all too often, right in our backyard in this particular case. And it's devastating for those people affected by it. And these people are so closely affected by it that it just breaks your heart. Yeah.
At the same time, we heard from so many of the lawmakers who said, we cannot normalize this. We cannot treat this as if this is sort of a symptom of the society that we live in. This is not normal. This is evil. This is an act of evil that needs to be sort of separated from, I think, everything else, because this is different and this is evil, and we can't normalize it.
I was listening to some of the cable outlets talking about this event from afar, and one of the questions that was asked of one of the people that was being interviewed is, why do you think this would happen? And there is no why. I mean, you can't sort of reason this sort of thing as to what the reasoning behind something so horrific happens. It happens for people who are just absolutely, outside the bounds of normalcy and outside the bounds of how we all think. And
like everything else, it's just mental health. Damn. Florida DMV employees arrested for selling non-dismissible CDLs to non-citizens. Man.
Of someone like Speaker Emeritus
I'm a
Hortman
city
and her
person.
husband, Mark,
I saw that cam footage of him looking like Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the front door.
In our
No way I would ever open the door. No chance, bro. We don't open for anyone, though.
No, yeah, you got to be really careful, man. It's just crazy. Maybe that's why some of these people. You ever heard of those stories? I don't agree with it, but how somebody knocks on the wrong door, they start getting shot at, or you pull up in the wrong driveway, and some of these crazy people start shooting at you. Maybe that's why. That bestie, the shooters, the assassins, the alleged assassins' bestie said that he didn't like Jim Walz or Jim Biden. He listened to InfoWars. Did they really say that? Let's see. This is the guy's friend.
Can you talk about his politics a little bit? I know that you had some discussions. I just wanted to talk about it.
Well, everyone's calling him a Democrat. He's not a Democrat.
Oh, so there's another part. I haven't seen this part. So his friend over here, the guy's a little bit weird to me, kind of sus. All the interviews I've seen, this guy's been sus. But they finally asked him the question, I guess.
Well, everyone's calling him a Democrat. He's not a Democrat. He would be offended if people called him a Democrat. Because of this board thing he was on for Governor Walz, it wasn't to serve. He was just serving the community. But
I read somewhere. I don't think he was even getting paid for that. That's him.
I can't believe a political issue would cause him to do such a thing.
Did he ever bring up the senator or the representative who were targeted?
Like I was saying, no, he never talked about them. I didn't know those people. I didn't recognize their names.
Any politicians he mentioned?
Well, he mentioned Nancy Pelosi. He didn't like Jim Walz.
Jim Walz. He didn't like Jim Walz.
I didn't know those people. I didn't recognize their names.
Any politicians he mentioned?
Well, he mentioned Nancy Pelosi. He didn't like Jim Walz. Jim Walz? Didn't like Jim Biden.
Jim Biden, too. They had to correct his ass. Damn, real. What the hell?
Nancy Pelosi. Didn't like Jim Walz. Jim Walz? Didn't like Jim Biden. But
Tim Walz, what would you say about him?
Well, I mean, nothing. It's just normal. Well, I don't like this, that Tim Walz did this. I don't like that they did that.
Did he mention the protests that were planned for yesterday?
He never mentioned the protests.
What do you make of everything that's happened here and the fact that...
So he didn't mention the protests. Okay, I just want to make sure that didn't start yet. He didn't mention the protests, but he had these No Kings flyers in his car and stickers and stuff. And he didn't talk about politics. In the other interview, he said recently he had not talked about politics. Maybe he's talking right now. Maybe he's referencing a long time ago, because now he's saying he didn't like Tim Walz, he didn't like Nancy Pelosi.
Protests that were planned for yesterday?
He never mentioned the protests.
What do you make of everything that's happened here and the fact
Maybe
that...
I mentioned it to him, but I don't think he mentioned anything about it.
What would you tell him?
I would tell him to surrender himself so he can be taken alive, because he's like my best friend, so I don't want him to be killed. I don't want him to kill anyone else, So I think if I saw him, I could talk him down, but I don't know where he is.
And did he listen to any particular podcasts or TV shows or anything online that concerns you?
Well, you listen to InfoWars.
Listen to InfoWars.
But I kind of said, well, it's like 50% truth. And I kind of said, don't take everything what they say for granted. I wasn't a real truthful. I mean, they're on for some things, but some things are way off.
Did he talk much about Trump? And what did he say, if so?
I was a Trump supporter. Voted for Trump. You like Trump? I like Trump. And,
What? You like so is he? I wonder if they should ask why are we getting these snippets? I want to see like the full interview. I saw one earlier of him wearing the same shirt, but this snippet wasn't in there. I guess they're putting out like previews and stuff. Okay. Roommate, wasn't he married? Somebody said he lived with a roommate when he worked at a spare job. The other time I lived with Jen. To me, that's still weird. I don't know. That whole thing is weird. The guy was crying earlier, crying tears and shit. But I guess he said he grew up with him. Court documents reveal police officers witnessed the shooting of Minnesota Representative Melissa. The 911 call reported that a masked person had come to their door and then shot their parents. That's the child. Inside the residence, officers found 2 adults, male and female, who had been shot. Video surveillance taken from the exterior of the residence showed a Ford SUV with a police-style lights parked in the driveway. It also showed a man later identified as defendant Vance Luther Boelter, wearing a mask, a blue shirt, and a police-style tactical vest. With a badge and a yellow-gripped gun, approached the door with a flashlight. Defendant knocked on the door and announced himself as a police officer before entering the house and shooting victims 3 and 4. The surveillance footage showed defendant flee the residence and enter the police-style vehicle. Victim 3 and 4 are currently alive and remain in the hospital. A short time later, the Brooklyn Park Police Department learned of the shooting because one of the victims is a state legislator. Police proactively sent patrol officers to the home of another state legislator in Brooklyn Park. When officers arrived at approximately 3:35 a.m., they saw the Ford SUV with the police-style lights and immediately saw a defendant still dressed as a police officer shoot an adult man. So
anyone notice Rumi is a little sketch? Just me? Hashtag take a bath.
So they witnessed the shooting. Police, still dressed as a police officer, shoot an adult man referred to as victim 2 through the open door of the home. Police exchanged gunfire with the defendant who fled inside. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, the Capitol celebrations in Washington, D.C. for the 250th birthday of the Army and President Trump's birthday, that was going on. So, you know,
This
the
whole
eyes
thing
of
is
the
Seuss
country
Man
were
Beer
already
Month.
sort of in that political space, but to have this sort of a crime committed, and as Governor Walz put it during his news conference, you know, politically motivated. We, I guess, have yet to kind of see what some of those other details are, other than the No Kings sort of papers that were found in the vehicle, which is why law enforcement and the governor asked people not to go to those protests. They just didn't know at that time because the suspect was still out there, and they didn't know what might happen. But
thank you for covering this today.
The journey to
I
get
appreciate
here,
it.
you know,
Greetings from Gotham City, aka Los Angeles.
A little bit longer than I have, and I don't know that I can.
Okay, so they're taking a little bit of extra time today. I guess maybe they're gathering all the information. Let me get the super chats. You know, I broke down my thoughts earlier on the first stream. Let me get this different screen here.
To put a net around this man, and eventually come to this arrest tonight. Yeah, and you know, the first response of people, I talked to people on the trip down from up north today. Heartbreak.
Yes.
Was the first response. Heartbreak for the Hortman family, Hoffman family. Here's our update there from law enforcement. They're getting set to speak at the mic.
For the 50.
They're testing right now. Let's go ahead and listen in and see. I don't know. Yeah, let's listen in.
This is giving me Patsy vibes.
JACOB.
This is the list of speakers, we believe.
We can just take it live, guys. We can take it full. Let's listen in.
Drew Evans, EVANS.
Okay, we're waiting for them to get started. Dressed like Leatherface. He literally had a Halloween mask on. That's why I said no way I would have opened the door. I'm pretty sure they did. I'm pretty sure they did. Is the last video with a roommate real? Suddenly he's a Trump supporter. I don't understand why it is real, but I don't understand why he
Dressed
didn't
like
say that before.
Leatherface. He literally had a Halloween mask on. That's
Let me
why
show
I
you a
said no
picture.
way I would have opened the door, which I'm pretty sure they did.
There was a lady that just posted. There's people that don't think it's the same person, but I mean, I think it's the guy, you know. But some people are saying this is not him. Maybe they say it because he looks skinnier or something. I don't know why they're saying it's not him. Obviously, he had a face mask on. One of those heavy, like, costume type of, like, but I don't know why anybody would, because I feel like.
Is that last video with roommate real? Suddenly he's a Trump supporter.
And then here's the other picture. I'm not sure why somebody would open the door. Maybe you're just not thinking clearly. You're just kind of in shock that for a cop. I don't know, at that time with the car, you just assumed the car, or maybe you think it's some type of like human, like I don't know, like some type of, the guy was born with a condition or something. That mask looks crazy though. Papa John's. So he has indicators that indicate he leans right, you know. But like I said earlier, the whole switching of the political affiliation was weird to me. He was registered Republican and then he switched to non-party at some point, no party, independent or no party. And then the flyers are just kind of weird because like I said earlier, there was that killer, like, well, the guy that tried to kill Trump. I mean, he was waiting for him at the golf course. He said he supported Trump and then had a switch. You know, he went crazy. But this guy, you could see him preaching. You could see some of his sermon videos. So I don't know what happened. And then supposedly his target list, which hasn't been released to the public yet, his manifesto, his kill list. I don't know why he just left that behind. It's just weird. To me, it's almost like he just left it to be found. That list, that cowboy hat, just like neatly placed on the road. Oh, here we go. I want to wait. I want to wait for some more information. By the way, I guess it says Seattle PD moves in on Antifa. Things get violent. There's people are still protesting.
Good evening. After a 2-day manhunt, 2 sleepless nights, law enforcement have apprehended Vance Boelter. That's 48 hours that law enforcement involved in a complex and dangerous manhunt. Spent Father's Day away from their families to deliver justice for Melissa and Mark Hortman and their children who spent this Father's Day alone. To the law enforcement who stand here and the hundreds who are involved in this, the state of Minnesota owes you a deep debt of gratitude. Thank you. You ran towards the danger and you served the state of Minnesota. This is a great example of coordination and collaboration. Multiple agencies, federal, state, and local, coordinating together in a way to protect the public and close this hunt around. Multiple agencies were there as FBI laid hands on it and Minnesota State Patrol put the handcuffs on. One man's unthinkable actions have altered the state of Minnesota. Melissa Hortman was the core of who our values were. She had a hand in so many things that happened. The building that we stand in, she helped usher through so that we could respond from the State Emergency Operations Center with the professionalism and giving the tools necessary to law enforcement to do their job. To Melissa and Mark's family, I cannot fathom your pain and the grief that you're going through. We'll take solace in the memory and the work that Melissa did, and you can rest assured that we will put every ounce of effort that the state of Minnesota has to make sure that justice is served and the individual responsible for this serves the time for the unspeakable act. State grieves with you. To John and Yvette Hoffman, The latest news is Senator Hoffman came out of his final surgery and is moving towards that, towards recovery. A vet is healing. And I think when the story comes out, and I'd like to say on behalf of the state of Minnesota, the heroic actions by the Hoffman family and their daughter Hope saved countless lives, and we are grateful. Bureau of Criminal Apprehension will continue to investigate. We will keep you informed. We'll spare no expense and no work to make sure that that happens. A moment in this country where we watch violence erupt. This cannot be the norm. It cannot be the way that we deal with our political differences. Now's the time for us to recommit to the core values of this country. And each and every one of us can do it. Talk to a neighbor rather than arguing. Debate an issue. Shake hands. Find common ground. This is who Melissa Hortman was. In the first negotiating session that I had a chance to work with her, she got all the partners in the room, and she provided each and every one of us a copy of a book called Getting to Yes. And the whole premise was debating with a sense of goodwill, a sense of trying to come to compromises that serve everyone. And because of her, we did that. Because of her, we did that year after year after year. That's the embodiment of how things are supposed to work. It's not about hatred. It's not about mean tweets. It's not about demeaning someone. It's leading with grace and compassion and vision and compromise and decency. That was taken from us in Minnesota with the murder of Speaker Hortman. So for each and every one of us to truly honor, and we will continue to honor that spirit, but we will need to do it in just more than actions in a memorial. Conducting ourselves in the spirit that Melissa Hortman did her work is what the country needs to heal. I will once again say the deep debt of gratitude. These professionals standing behind us and countless others. This was, you'll hear from them, incredibly complex. And to take this suspect in with no life of life or injuries to civilian population and to bring him in alive so he can serve justice, which he will do in Minnesota, is an incredible thing that we are grateful for. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the professionals, starting with Commissioner of Public Safety for the state of Minnesota,
How under the influence of COVID jabs were liberals when they supported Tampon Boy as their VP candidate?
Good
evening. It's good to see you all here tonight. Thank you for coming in. My name is Bob Jacobson. I'm the Commissioner of Public Safety. And again, it's my honor to serve in that position. First of all, I want to thank all of the law enforcement agencies that have been working tirelessly over the past 2 years since the shooting at Senator Hoffman's home. The coordination between state, local, and federal law enforcement partners is the reason we are here tonight, and the suspect is in custody. Boelter exploited
no good
the
human
trust
has a constant
our
frown like
uniforms are
this
meant
clown.
to represent.
He can't contain the hidden
That
evil.
betrayal is
Name
deeply
one good person
disturbing
that
to
greets
those
you
of
with a
us
frown.
who wear the badge with honor and responsibility. We want to thank community members across the state for their support, for their tips, and their information. And I want to thank Governor Walz for his continued support through this very difficult time. With that, I will pass this off to Superintendent Drew Evans of the BCA. Thank you.
Reminds me of those people who say, you try to be polite, hey, good morning, and they just look at you with a look.
Well, good evening,
Keep
everyone. My name is
Like,
Drew
hey.
Evans. I'm Superintendent of the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. As was noted and was previously described, Vance Boelter was taken into custody in Sibley County. We were with you earlier today when we provided information about the manhunt and the myriad of law enforcement that have come together working in partnership so that this evil cannot be continued. The first step in a case like this is that we take him into custody, and then the work will continue and begin to make sure that we have all the evidence we need to ensure that he is held accountable for his crimes. Please bear with me, but I think it's important because it has been noted by the governor, just to give you some background on the teams that were down there, and I may even be missing some in terms of this because there were law enforcement partners, not just from the Twin Cities, but across the state of Minnesota that came together. from the Brooklyn Park Police Department.
Is this
the
chat
Tri-City
always
SWAT
like
team,
this?
Egan Police
Cause I don't
Department,
love it. If so,
Burnsville
face
Police
with monocle.
Department,
Sorry, I
South
am
Metro
new here.
SWAT team, the FBI, ATF, United States Marshal Service, State Patrol, Washington County Sheriff's Office, Ramsey County Sheriff's Office, the Richfield Police Department, St. Paul Police Department, Bloomington Police Department, Sibley County. We had Riverview Medics, Green Isle Fire Department, and Lifelink in the area, in addition to Prior Lake, Crow River SWAT, and the Hennepin County Sheriff's
Vance
Office.
was probably
Again, I may
being
have
set
been
up,
missing,
and
I
Walls
apologize
has
to my
something to
partners
do
for
with
that,
it.
that we do that.
Vance
I
worked
share
under
all of that
Walls
for
in
you because
2019
that's
on
the
the Governor's
commitment when this
Workforce
sort of evil
Development
is in one
Board.
of our communities, that law enforcement comes together to put all of their resources together to make sure that that person is taken into custody. That is so that people across the state of Minnesota and legislators that were targeted in these attacks and that may have been listed can breathe a sigh of relief as quickly as possible as we came together in an incredibly complex set of circumstances in that. He was arrested, as you saw earlier this evening, in the area of 35600 block of 200th Street, Green Isle. What happened in that is, as we noted, there was a manhunt going throughout the day in that area that we've discussed previously, and there was information provided that he was seen in the area. When that information was provided to the investigators that were conducting the ground search, they converged on the area with a number of SWAT teams with the assistance of the Air Wing from Minnesota State Patrol, and we'll provide a few more details about the end of coming into custody in a little bit, but he was taken into custody at that time. He is in custody, and a reminder for anybody that was not, when we've previously said that, taken into custody under a state criminal warrant. That information will be made public, if it is not already, detailing the complaint that he is charged in the cases at this time with the murders of Speaker Hortman and her husband, Mark Hortman, also with the shootings in John Hoffman and Yvette
My
Hoffman,
guess is corrupt
for
tampon
those
Tim
crimes,
ordered the
and
hit
we'll be
on them.
moving forward.
He nominated the
We are also in
hitman for a
close
board
contact
position
with our
in
federal
2019.
partners, both
New
the
Watcher,
FBI,
great
United
job
States
this
Attorney's
week.
Office,
Bye.
who are examining
United
whether or not
States.
additional charges should be brought at the federal level related to this at this time. There is a lot of investigation that continues, and I'm going to turn it over to Chief Bruley to provide some comments on this and the work. I just want to tell, certainly for the communities of Champlin, City of Brooklyn Park, you both have incredibly professional police departments that work day in, day out and tirelessly in this situation to bring justice and work towards that, not only for the families and the loved ones and the community that are impacted, but for the entire state of Minnesota. And our teams are incredibly proud to work alongside them and all the law enforcement partners. And so with that, I will turn it over to Chief Bruley for some comments on this, and the work will continue in partnership with them and others moving forward. Chief.
Good evening. I'm Police Chief Mark Bruley, Brooklyn Park Police Department. Just a few comments. One, I'm very proud to tell you that we took the suspect into custody who was responsible for this. That was within 43 hours of the incident. There's no question that this is the largest manhunt in the state's history. Just down at the scene where
My
he's
guess
taking
is
custody, there's
corrupt
20
tampon Tim
different
ordered the
SWAT
hit on
teams
them. He nominated the
over a
hitman for a
extremely
board
large
position in
area
2019.
hunting this individual
New
down to
Watcher,
take him
great
into
job
custody.
this week.
I believe that the state of Minnesota and certainly the city of Brooklyn Park should be extremely proud of the police officers within the city of Brooklyn Park, but the partnerships that we had are unprecedented between the federal agents, the county, the locals, and others around. It is absolutely an incredible task what went on. Essentially, the Brooklyn Park Police Department was turned over into an operations center, and that's all that hundreds of detectives worked on tirelessly for 43 hours. So while this has come to some conclusion where we've made an arrest, there is a ton of work that needs to be done. So I encourage community members, if there's evidence, information, or other things, please continue to feed that information to the Brooklyn Park Police Department so that we can fully investigate this and present a complete case to both the federal jurisdiction and the Hennepin County Attorney's Office. With that, I'll turn it over to the State Patrol.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Geiger. I'm the Lieutenant Colonel with the
You're
Minnesota
my
State
favorite
Patrol,
source for watching events like this.
The
But you
Minnesota
have to
State
figure
Patrol,
out a way
along
to
with
get the
countless
super...
other partners, were responsible for this arrest. The collaborative effort, I cannot stress enough
can
how
do that.
outstanding that was, helped ensure the suspect's arrest did not result in the injury of any law enforcement that was down there and in the area. We had special response teams on the scene near 200 streets in Sibley County. Several partner law enforcement SWAT teams positioned to form a perimeter at that point in time. The State Patrol also provided the air support that was talked about earlier today. The suspect crawled to law enforcement teams and was placed under arrest at that point in time. There was no use of force by any member of law enforcement that was out there, and the suspect was taken into custody without any use of force. Thank you.
Bill, crew, thank you.
With that, we will open it up for a few questions. Reminder, please introduce yourself, your lead organization. If you have a question for one of the specific individuals, please feel free to point that out as well.
Well, let's see what they have to say.
Ask anyone up here who can speak to it. Did the suspect make any key mistakes that you feel like has led to his medical control?
You know, the question is were there any key mistakes? We certainly, at this point, there's a lot of information we can't share right now in this. What I will tell you is there are some incredibly dedicated law enforcement personnel, criminal intelligence analysts that were out working day in, day out, working together. And what I will tell you is that the public certainly is always of his assistance to us in law enforcement, and incredibly diligent people in the area that provided us the assistance that we needed to get our teams that were already down there that last piece over. But they were certainly in the area and working diligently together on that.
One's got to be one at a time, guys.
Drew, Border Health Care 11, do you have any indication that anyone helped him?
The question is any indication anybody helped him? We continue to look into that. I don't have anything beyond what we shared earlier today. This investigation, as Chief Bruley noted, will be continuing to expand at this point in time to make sure that we continue to look at all angles of this. And everybody did help him. We will certainly hold them accountable for doing that in this process.
Drew, Adrian Broadus from NBC News. Can you tell us how the Hoffmans helped save lives, and what did the suspect say when he was taken into custody?
The question was how the Hoffmans helped save lives, and what did he say? I don't have the specific. And then what did he say when he was taken into custody? I don't have the specifics on what he said when he was taken into custody.
You don't know what he said?
You know, we're incredibly grateful that the Hoffmans are still here with us at this point in time, and that they will be hopefully on a continued path to recovery, and that they will provide us the information. We've been able to talk to them today, and they will be providing key information to us as part of this investigation moving forward.
Sir, can I ask you from CBS News, did the suspect have a phone with him when he was caught? Was he tracked in any way, or was it just sightings and tips?
At the end, the question is, did he have a phone with him? I don't have the specifics on everything that was with him when he was arrested at this time. I will say he was armed, and that he came when he was taken into custody, but we'll be sifting through all of that information from there.
Is arthritis for a deaf person like
I can't on the weapons at this time, so. Paul.
Fox 9, just kind of elaborating on sort of a Hoffman question. To me, the encounter at Speaker Hortman's house with, I believe, the Portland Park Police, there was a gunfire there. The fact is, you then have to abandon that vehicle with several weapons. You have the unsealed criminal complaint. How significant was that in preventing any further tragedy and ending it with him on the ground in Sibley County?
Yeah, the question is, again, expanding on the Hoffmans and providing addition. What I'll tell you, Chief Bruley mentioned this yesterday, and his police officers going to check proactively on Speaker Hortman's home at that time. If that had not happened, I have every confidence that this would have continued throughout the day. By his officers encountering him at that, he was forced to abandon the vehicle that he had at that time and lead to what we got to today. So by that incident occurring and the law enforcement communication that was occurring, it allowed the proactive approach that was able to get to the point where they were able to now eventually take him into custody today. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to clarify, there's a little bit of detail that the Ramsey County Sheriff has provided. I just wanted to see if we can nail it down. So it's the detail that he had provided to the Star Tribune is that for about an hour, Boelter had tried to evade arrest, and that 8 teams crawled in a ditch to try to corral him. I don't know if you have that level of detail, but additionally, because you were able to take him into custody without incident, what did your law enforcement officers say to him to warn out and have him taken peaceably?
So the question is about the teams and then what was done to get him into custody. So we don't get into operational details for the safety of our law enforcement going forward in terms of what it is. But what I can say is the incredible teamwork that was done and the large number of law enforcement certainly put us in a position where they were able to maneuver into this area to safely put him in a place where, I don't know what was going through his head and I wouldn't speculate, but they have incredibly professional teams that are trained on this and how to take somebody into custody, and they provided the commands and he gave up peacefully.
Superintendent Jonah Champlin from WCCO and CBS News. First, if you could just speak personally for you and all your colleagues. I imagine this is a relief for a lot of you. Can you talk about what it means to you personally to have this done? Only a few hours ago, you weren't sure if he was in the state, let alone in the country.
Yeah, the question is the relief for all of us. I mean, the relief for us in law enforcement is we feel an incredible amount of pressure to bring a person into custody, bring safety to the community. These professionals behind me and their teams, this is what they do. This is what they get paid to do, and they're honored to do the work on behalf of Minnesotans every single day. So the relief is that we can bring that sense of relief to communities across Minnesota, legislators that were on that list, and that's what we want to do.
I hope the sign language person is legit, because remember there was a fake one. She would have been called out by now, I think.
The question was on the call and when did we get it? It was happening over the time. I don't have the specific timeline, but we were alerted as soon as there was the spotting of the person in the area for all of the command staff here, and as our teams continue to work and as they worked in and honed in.
Can you speak a little more about the technology that was used? You said today earlier that you received about 400 tips.
Yeah.
You know there was surveillance footage that was used for pictures. You just mentioned, or someone talked about the air team. Was it a fixed wing? Was it a helicopter that was following him? What role did technology?
Yeah, the question is what role, and I can't get into all the technology, obviously. Just some of it is that we don't share the information to make sure that we protect it, so it's utilized going forward. However, I will say that both UAVs throughout the day are incredibly important to our teams, unmanned aerial vehicles that we use, that there were numerous ones out there providing that, and then our helicopter in this situation provides an incredibly important bird's eye view that also allows us special views to be able to see individuals such as infrared and others that we utilize on a regular basis. So technology in cases like this are incredible tools to be able to supplement the great hard work of all the people that were on the ground every day. Let's go here first.
Where's he being held currently?
So right now he is being interviewed at a law enforcement facility. More information on where he will actually be ultimately will be released at a later time.
What law enforcement agency or facility?
I can't share where he is currently, but that information will be available soon.
Can you be more specific about the setting in which he was? I know there are things he can't get away, but we see things like trails and fields. You're talking about him crawling. What can you tell us about where he was hiding during this time?
Yeah, so this is, where was he hiding? This is in a rural area. These are fields and different wooded settings around, and that's where he was ultimately captured. Sibley County is, a rural county in the state of Minnesota, and so it's what a lot of that streams, fields, woods, crops, and so where he was ultimately taken into custody was in a field.
Did the infrared technology help find him, identify him from the air?
I don't.
The commissioner had mentioned some of that.
You don't know. Shit, you don't know. I don't know. Somebody else take it.
Yes, absolutely. It assisted previously, and they were out there. The helicopter was out there before the sun went down. But after that happened, yes, that technology did come into play.
How long did you know that he was there?
I'll turn that back over to the superintendent here too, but I don't think that that information is available right now.
Nobody wants to take a photo.
Mark Burley, Police Chief, Brooklyn Park. The question is how long did we know that he was there? A vehicle that we believe that he was in was spotted many hours before and had been abandoned. An alert police officer believed that he may have seen the individual running into the woods, and that started a large-scale perimeter that we set up, or down in Sibley County set up, and we started to deploy resources, including the Brooklyn Park SWAT team, and along with many other SWAT teams, to contain an extremely large area, knowing that this is a very dangerous individual. During that, we got privy to additional information of an individual that was in the woods, and that search went on for many hours until ultimately we were able to locate him in the woods. In approximately an hour and a half or so, we were able to close the distance in with the technology in the State Patrol helicopter, and where we were able to call him out to us.
Hi, please separate these issues. Are you having more information about the motive? Are you guys considering this an act of domestic terrorism?
Yeah, it's absolutely way too soon to say that right now. That's where the investigation, we have been just solely focused on the manhunt. And the goal is to give some calm to the situation of many individuals that were on the list that were worried about their safety. And this is a very dangerous individual for our community. And that's why so many resources and such a great collaboration came together to focus on removing him from society so that we can restore some sort of calm and bring some healing to our community and to our state. Now begins the hard work of looking at what the motive is, looking at putting this case together, and so that's yet to come.
Hey, Mark, people that are on the list, what other, I know there are politicians from Wisconsin on the list, what other states were people on the list?
It was multiple states. I don't have the exhaustive list, but it was multiple states that were on there.
Do you have some states that were on the list?
We can, there's a few, I don't want to say it because it won't be exhaustive, but you know, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, some others that were on there. There was a variety in Nebraska, Iowa, we've had contact. What I will tell you, and I will not get into any more specifics beyond that, we are in coordination with our federal partners and our fusion centers in those states to coordinate with local law enforcement and the FBI in those states and the state fusion centers that are there to be able to provide that information and notify those individuals that they were on that list.
Are you concerned that there's other people out there that could have been working with them?
The question is, are we concerned there's other people out there that could be working with them? We will fully explore that. I've said on this, we are relatively confident, we are confident that the violence that he committed and the murders he committed and the attempted murders, that he conducted that activity alone. We will be exploring if there are any broader network. We have not uncovered any of that at this time, but that will be part of our investigation, and we will fully explore that. So thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. We can go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right, there's the end of that multi-unit press conference detailing the capture and arrest in the...
Basically, they said they got him. Thank you so much, Rabbit. Where'd your super chat go? Oh, it's still on the screen, I think. Does anyone find it strange that Minnesota is saying this was not premeditated? I don't know where they said that. Did they say that in this press conference? Maybe I didn't hear it. I zoned out. But I haven't heard them say that, because if they did, I don't know. That's crazy, because the guy had a manifesto. Supposedly this hit list with 70 names, disguised mask, police car, switched vehicles, used decoys, the No Kings flyers, the cash, the ammo, travel between multiple cars to target specific people. But as somebody replied to your comment too, it could be them trying to avoid some type of legality or trying to be careful what they say. I'm not sure, but I haven't heard that. Clearly premeditated. Tim dipped out, huh? I guess we'll see what else comes out of it. I'm surprised that they didn't know if he said anything when he was arrested, any words. I guess we'll have to find out. Interpreter is a professional. Interpretive is a professional. Interpretive, dance teacher, and side jobs at Deaf Translation. Oh, really? Okay, thank you.
A second. Is this...
This is from Yvette, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little farther, but first and foremost, John and I hold a deep and profound gratitude for the work of our law enforcement agencies and the public for their help in bringing the suspect to justice while diligently keeping our communities safe during this extremely difficult and senseless event. So as I'm reading this, Randy, John and I, this sounds like this is from Yvette.
Yeah.
John and I are both incredibly lucky to be alive. We continue our healing journey and are humbled by the outpouring of love and support our family has received from across the state and our nation.
And it goes on to say there is never a place for senseless political violence and loss of life. We are devastated by the loss of Melissa and Mark, and our hearts go out to all those who knew and loved them both. We are always at our best when we unite together. Again, that is from the Hoffman family, presumably written by Yvette, the wife of Senator John Hoffman, both recovering from multiple wounds. Senator,
let's see this real quick here.
Details out of Salt Lake City, Utah, after a deadly shooting at yesterday's protest. Police believe a peaceful demonstrator was unintentionally shot and killed. Police say a man thought to be a designated peacekeeper fired 3 shots at a suspect who raised a rifle.
What?
Witnesses say Gamboa raised the weapon in a firing position and began running toward the crowd. One of the individuals fired 3 rounds, striking Gamboa and tragically striking the man who later died.
Now, police say that suspect, Arturo Gamboa, was found with a minor gunshot wound and arrested. He's facing a charge of murder, but there's no word yet on a motive.
What the? Crazy.
So I'm in my beautiful city, LA, and I have friends texting me like all morning. My gardener didn't show up. My housekeeper didn't show up. Oh, my farmer's market was closed. Everyone's scared. Well, this is not going to just happen in LA. And you 1%ers that only voted for Trump because of money? Guess what? You're going to have to do your own dishes or clean your own house or mow your own lawn. And oh, that wonderful produce, the organic produce you get for your brunches? All gone. Yeah, you're going to actually have to do some work around your house. These people are important.
You have to do your own dishes. Man, God forbid. I guess that's it. Oh, there was this other thing too. I guess this happened in where's this? Seattle's. There's definitely some type of Antifa element. I don't know. I guess this was tonight. Seattle. Check. I guess that was tonight. Let me see the original poster. Oh no, he posted that yesterday. Oh, okay. I thought that was tonight. The protests have been slim today. There have been some, but not much. Somebody had posted how quick those people stopped with the protests, I guess. But Trump, I don't know, real quick too, Trump doubled down. He didn't post. Let me see if I can find that real quick too, and then before we jump off. I'm still tired from yesterday, like how late we were up last night. Trump made a post double downing, because I thought he was like backing off a little bit. Double downing says our nation's ICE officers have shown incredible strength, determination, and courage as they facilitate a very important mission, the large mass deportation operation of illegal aliens in history. Every day, the brave men and women of ICE are subjected to violence, harassment, and even threats from the radical Democrat politicians, but nothing will stop us from executing our mission and fulfilling our mandate to the American people. ICE officers are herewith ordered by notice of this truth to do all in their power to achieve the very important goal of delivering the single largest mass deportation program in history. In order to achieve this, we must expand efforts to detain and deport illegal aliens in America's largest cities, such as Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York, where millions upon millions of illegal aliens reside. These and other such cities are the core of the Democrat Power Center, where they use illegal aliens to expand their voter base, cheat in elections, and grow the welfare state, robbing good-paying jobs and benefits from hard-working American citizens. These radical left Democrats are sick of mind hate our country, and actually want to destroy our inner cities. And they are doing a good job of it. There is something wrong with them. That's one of my sayings. There's something wrong with this person. There's something wrong with them. This is why they believe in open borders, transgender for everybody, men playing women's sports. And that is why I want ICE, Border Patrol, and our great and patriotic law enforcement officers to focus on our crime-ridden and deadly inner cities and those places where sanctuary cities play such a big role. You don't hear about sanctuary cities in our heartland. I want our brave officers to know that real Americans are cheering you on every day. The American people want our cities, schools, and communities to be safe and free of illegal alien crime, conflict, and chaos. That's why I have directed my entire administration to put every resource possible behind this effort and reverse the tide of mass destruction migration that has turned once idyllic towns into scenes of third world dystopia. Our federal government will continue to be focused on re-migration of aliens to the places from where they came from. Oh, God. Oh! And preventing the admission of anyone who undermines the domestic tranquility of the United States. To ICE, FBI, DEA, ATF, the Patriots at the Pentagon, and the State Department, you have my unwavering support. Now get the job done. DJT. Oh, man. Are we going to see more riots? Are we going to see more protests? Are we going to do a part 2? I don't know. We're going to be back another week. I need a little recovery phase, but I'm sure people see this. Newsom, I wonder if Newsom said anything about this, because they felt the Kings or all these protests were successful. So if he's doubled down and going back, I don't know. Let me see if Gavin said anything else about that, or if he's even spoken on it. I don't know. No, nothing yet. I guess we'll see tomorrow. All right. Well, I'm going to head out, man. I'm going to try to get some sleep. There was a shooting, though, people are talking about in West Valley City, Utah. Multiple people shot. It's happened tonight, I guess. And by the way, the Arto Gamboa, the guy that did the shooting suspect that we saw it live kind of yesterday, and the clip that I just played for you now, this guy, they're saying they believe he's a anti-Trump BLM leftist activist. Antifa means anti-fascist. If you're anti-Antifa, then you're pro-fascist. Anti-fascism is not an ideology or a group. It is the baseline for a human with any kind of moral compass. If you support Trump, you support a fascist. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. The man.
And then.
Oh, what was that?
A gun and just aimed and shot. He was like 2-3 feet away. After I got hit, I couldn't really walk. I was just like too much in shock. And then they're still pushing me. I know some other protesters were trying to help me like walk, but they're still pushing them too. And everyone's shouting like, "Yo, he just got hit! Like, let him breathe, let him breathe!" Like,
is this the guy that got shot from this?
And like, I needed to sit down for a bit, but they just kept pushing. Right now, I'm at home. The injury was sustained to my groin. I have a bruised left testicle, and my right testicle was actually shattered. They said that they somewhat fixed it, so it should have some function, but it's still
they're laughing at us too. Who's
very badly
It's
damaged.
not me.
All right. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. It's funny you call somebody a fascist and you wind up with a testicle looking just like Adolf Hitler's.
Wow.
Department of Justice. We are not playing. This is a different administration. We have the Department of Justice
that we need, that any rational, reasonable court would need in order to convict any number of these people on the left. And frankly, some on the right, I think, as well. Many on the right.
Oh shit, go there. He's going.
But exposure is not enough. A crime of whether or not these protests that run the neighborhood. You want to expose the crime of the mob boss in your Italian neighborhood in New York City? Okay, expose it. Everybody knows that the mob boss is committing crimes in the neighborhood in New York, in Little Italy. Everybody knows that already. The exposure is not enough if there's no leverage, if there's no power, if there's no will. The American people demonstrated that they have the will to prosecute these people by electing Donald Trump to the presidency last fall. So we have the political will. Why is it that nothing is being done? We have the political will to end the war in Ukraine.
Still fixed it.
That's it. I don't know. I just want to know who the hell this guy is.
Of Anna Paulina Luna talking about how these protesters are simply hijacking the Hispanic thing for the sake of whatever it is their motive truly is. Let's watch.
Congresswoman, looking at this chaos, who's funding it and why are they funding it?
So it's actually being funded by a billionaire by the name of Neville Singham. He's actually funding a group called the Party for Socialism and Liberation, which if you look online, they are a communist organization. What they're doing is they are using Hispanic Americans the way that BLM used Black Americans during these riots, and frankly, the way that Code Pink, which is also funded by the CCP, is using Palestinians. So what they're trying to do is they're using this to usher in Marxism. But it's important to note that actually when you find and you...
Israel was warned...
I don't know who that guy is. That's the second guy that lost his testicle, I guess, because there was another guy the other day we covered that had his testicle shot. He had an operation, but he looked different. This is somebody else. Somebody else. This is the guy got shot in his testicle. I don't know what happened there. Arturo Gamboa, the man charged with murder at the Salt Lake. Oh, what's wrong with me? The King's protest was raised by the LDS. Oh god, that's another rabbit hole. It was raised LDS in Utah by a Venezuelan immigrant father. He was a drummer in the radical anti-government punk band Rad Band. In an interview, Gamboa described the U.S. a steam train that's always been fueled by black and brown bodies. He also shared an anti-Trump post in support of Antifa. Okay, he was an avid BLM supporter. Okay, all right. Lord Almighty. All right. Well, I'm going to get some rest, man. You guys have a good night. We'll see what this week brings. Thank you so much. And, all right, take care. Peace. Bloop. Thank you. Bye. Boop, 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 bloop, bloop. Rad.